Welcome back to Just Chattin', and this is the series of videos we do on Thursday and Sunday evenings just for our own entertainment. So for all you Audie fans, he is around here somewhere. The weather has gotten better, so he's no longer just hiding under the bed and behind the chairs. He's actually out and around a little. Now, mind you, when I say better, it's still hot. It's just not the insane hot he was experiencing a week or two ago. So he's in a better mood, but he may show up, he may not. We are just going to plunge ahead without him, although don't tell him I said that. I don't want to hurt his feelings, but I think we can manage. We are going to take a quick break for the intro, and we'll be right back. So, Nutmeg and the sock puppet are being quiet right now. Personally, if I had to guess, I would say the reason they're keeping a low profile is because Nutmeg doesn't want to give the mainstream media anything to talk about that might detract from that amazing Emmy nomination she got. And last time we got together, we talked about how easy it is to do that. And I've been thinking, boy, I need to go find some awards and nominate myself for them so that I can throw that on my resume. Nominated for this award, that award. Nobody ever asks you who nominated you. So, hey, if it's working for her, I might as well give it a try. But I think that's probably why she wants that Emmy nomination to just come front and center. But interestingly enough, it's not. The media has become so used to this rapid fire publicity releases from Nutmeg and the sock puppet that the minute that 15-minute news cycle is done, they're expecting something new. And it's not coming. So they are just in shock, I think. But I like the fact that Nutmeg and the sock puppet are being quiet right now, because when they are quiet, that gives me an opportunity to look in a little more depth into some of the issues that we deal with all the time, mostly because we're forced into a scattergun approach. We react. And when I say we, it's everyone who is commenting in the Meghan community. They act, we respond. So, do we have the opportunity to structure the narrative? No. We are just lobbing the ball back over and over again. However, when they're quiet, we do have the opportunity to look at things. And I was looking at a couple of things, and let's start with, because these are two things that are related very closely, start with the podcast the sock puppet did a few days ago, when he described his occupation as veteran, which is not an occupation, father, which I suppose is an occupation, but I don't know. Is full-time stay-at-home, hands-on dad actually what he's doing? I don't think he fits that job description. He went on to say Prince of the United Kingdom. That's not a job description. And Duke, which again is not a job description. So we have that on one hand. And then we have articles coming out saying that Nutmeg is carping all over him because she wants him to step up and handle more of the finances for their alleged family. So we have both of those together, and I have a solution for the sock puppet. I think he needs to declare his occupation as professional litigant, because in the 6 years since he has been away from the British royal family, when they, stepped back, stepped down, stepped away, who knows what they did when they Mexited. He has done nothing but sue left and right. So I thought we would take a look, and my main focus is on the Ravik suits, because unlike his suits against the media publications, which are done, they are done, they are gone, they are buried. He did, in fact, win one suit, and I believe this was against the Mirror Group. And the damages in that, by the way, in addition to getting his legal fees paid, were only $140,000. Now I know, I'm saying only $140,000. That is a lot of money to most people. But it is not even enough to keep that McMansion in Montecito in flower sprinkles for a month. So when you are living this jet-set lifestyle, it's basically just pocket change. It's not a significant amount of money. The suit against the Mail Group, the Daily Mail and the Mail on Sunday, I don't think there's any possibility of resurrecting this in any way, shape, or form. The Mail's victory in this was so absolute and so complete. I just think that also is dead and buried at this point. The only thing left is for the Mail to collect their damages. However, it looks like the sock puppet is not willing to accept the decision that Ravik came up with. So I thought we would focus on that particular timeline. So let me share it with you. February 2020, Ravik decides Prince Harry will no longer receive the same automatic taxpayer-funded personal protective security when visiting the UK after stepping back from royal duties, shifting him to a case-by-case evaluation model. September 2021, Harry files an application for a judicial review challenging the Home Office refusal allowing him to personally pay for police protection out of pocket while in the UK. Okay, now that we got up to September 2021, I need to break in before we continue with the timeline. In February of 2022, the sock puppet filed a libel suit against the Daily Mail because they claimed that he never offered to pay for the security out of his own pocket. That was simply something his PR people stitched together after the fact, once it became widely known that the British taxpayers would have to pick up the bill for this security he was looking for. Now, he brought the suit, but the judge had said, you are going to have to prove that you have a case. Just produce a prima facie case. Basically, just show me you got something. Show me this is worth the court's time. And he also said, and you, Harry, are going to have to pay the expenses for this. Well, Harry dropped that libel suit very quickly. First of all, I'm sure he doesn't want to have to pay the expenses. And second, I don't think he had a case. I do not think the Mail libeled him by saying that he had not offered to pay for the security, because, in fact, he hadn't. So even though the timeline says, oh, and he was going to pay for it out of his own pocket, that was revisionism, basically. That was the way the timeline was reconstructed after the fact. And I do think that Harry's brought and dropped libel suit needs to be part of the discussion in here. But That's all we need to say about it. Let's get back to the timeline. July 2022, a High Court judge grants Harry permission to proceed with part of his judicial review claim against the Home Office. February 2024, High Court Judge Sir Peter Lane dismisses Harry's overall challenge against the Ravik security level decision, ruling the process was lawful and not unfair. June 2024, the Court of Appeals grants Prince Harry permission to challenge Sir Peter Lane's dismissal ruling. April 2025, a two-day appeal hearing takes place at the Royal Courts of Justice, where Harry's legal team argues he was singled out for unfair treatment. May 2025, the Court of Appeals officially rejects Prince Harry's appeal, upholding the decision to alter his security arrangements on a bespoke case-by-case basis. June-July 2026, reports indicate Harry continues unofficial efforts and discussions with UK authorities and the Home Secretary regarding risk assessments and security provisions for potential family visits. So this security suit, never-ending security suit, has been going on for 5 years because Harry first brought it a year after he left the royal family to do his thing out in California. But that is the point at which he lost all of his benefits from the royal family. Because remember, the deal was he would have a year to decide if he was coming back or not. Well, at the end of that year, he decided he was not coming back, but he wanted the security all the same. And then the never-ending security challenges began. And they are not over. Harry is apparently still attempting to resurrect this dead horse so he can beat it some more, I guess, and move it along and get that security. The reason the security obviously is so important is because it's pretty clear that Nutmeg and the Sock Puppet have bottomed out in the U.S., and their only sort of way out of this dumpster fire they've created for themselves is to go back to the UK, to go back to pretending to be royals again. So yeah, suddenly the security is more important than ever because it's those bells and whistles that signal to the general public, hey, we're royal, stop, pay attention to us. And you know how they love that. But I wanted to take a look for a moment at the kind of damage that this never-ending abuse of the legal system causes. Because the fact is that while Harry is tying up Ravik's time and the court's time, remember these are all government agencies, and it's not just the time of the people who are directly involved, the committee members, not just them, but their support staff, the people they have to bring in, and it's an enormous amount of people whose time is being wasted. And then what you have too is while the court's time is occupied with the sock puppet and his foolishness, everybody else who is waiting for the attention of those courts is falling further and further behind in the queue. Why? Because the sock puppet is he is at the head of the queue and he is not standing aside for anyone. So you end up with this cascading problem of The sock puppet grabs the attention of a few people. They pull in their stats, etc., plus whatever court time is. Everything from court reporters to whatever security personnel. Here in the U.S., it's usually out of the various sheriff's departments. I don't know what it is in the UK, but you have court officers that have to be present and so on. All their time. Taxpayers have to pay for all of this. This is a bill the taxpayers can't get away from. And on top of it, they have to see their own legal matters getting shunted farther and farther into the background while the sock puppet is taking all of the spotlight, while he is in front of the cameras, while everything is focused on him and his nonsense cases. Here's the thing. It's all well and good to say, yeah, but if they don't have to pay any money, time is money too. And William Gladstone, now he was a British prime minister in the 19th century, so we're going right back over to the pond and we're going to quote their own right back at them. William Gladstone said, "Justice delayed is justice denied." Very, very common saying. Many people said it before him and after him, but I think he's the one who said it best. He put it the most succinctly, the most elegantly. Justice delayed is justice denied. So while Harry is delaying other people's justice, he is also denying their justice. And that's one, you don't need to take my word for it, Gladstone said so. And the truth of the matter is that going into court is difficult and stressful enough. Lengthy delays will often have a negative effect on people's ability to remember events, assuming they're going to be testifying in court. It doesn't take any imagination at all to see why here in the U.S. we declare as part of a person charged with a crime, as part of their rights, the right to a speedy trial. Speedy trial. So the sock puppet is actually undermining the entire system with his foolishness. Is he going to keep going? Yes, absolutely. I don't doubt that for an instant. The fact is that he needs to do something to make himself feel worthwhile again. He has no job. He has no fixed source of income other than daddy's checkbook. So yeah, he's going to sue. Is he using this as a means of income? I don't know. However, Nutmeg, in her suit against the Mail for publishing that Dear Daddy letter, now there was one part of the suit which was invasion of privacy, for which she got her legal fees and she got £1, a nominal amount. They said no, but they decided there was no harm done. But for the infringement of copyright, she did get a substantial settlement. That's how all the press described it, substantial. To this day, I cannot find anything resembling even an estimate of the amount of money she received as a result of that. But substantial, yeah, was probably some serious money. And remember that when she threatened, all she had to do was threaten to sue two paparazzi businesses, dial-a-pap services, basically, over those photographs with her and the putative child, as I am insisting, the Archie doll. All she had to do was threaten the suit, and they settled with her. And that settlement, again, not made public, but it was significant enough to throw both of those PAC agencies out of business. One declared bankruptcy and the other basically closed its doors shortly thereafter. So, has Nutmeg been able to operate these lawsuits at a profit? Oh, yeah, she has. I think it's because, frankly, just my opinion, I think it's because she's a better liar than the sock puppet, because we know they both lied. So, yeah, I think she was just simply a little better at it. Is this where the sock puppet's getting his ideas from? I don't know. But it certainly does seem to me that the one overriding pattern we have seen from the sock puppet in the last 6 years is litigation. That's what he's done. So it surprised me greatly when he did not tell the podcast, Army veteran, father, Prince of England, Duke, and litigator, because that, I would put out there, is, if not his profession, it's certainly his attempted profession, because that's where it's going. But anyway, I'm not going to let this drag on too long. I did want to let you know what was going on, and I wanted to share with you that timeline, just so we can all look at this and say, yeah, he has been going back for another bite at that rabbit apple again and again and again. Is he going to stop now? Well, according to the articles I've got listed in the video notes, no, not even close. And frankly, we've watched him do this before. Do we really believe he's giving up the ghost? I would say for my part, no. I would not be at all surprised if he did not try to reopen this can of worms and just pour it all out yet again, because this is who he is at this point. Army veteran, father, I don't know, Prince of England, Duke, no. He's a professional litigator. So, that is what I have for you today. As I said, we're going to get out of this as quickly as we can. It's summer. Go enjoy your lives. Thank you for being with us. I hope to see you all again next time. We're going to take a look at a slideshow on the way out. And in the meanwhile, have a terrific day.